broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
The Grandmaster.
Hey there, Grimsters! Welcome back to another AFTERBUZZ TV Grimm After Show.
Yeah.
I am very excited. Guys, if you haven't done so already, go to our channel, youtube.com/AFTERBUZZ-TV. Subscribe. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes and SoundCloud. Don't forget to leave a comment and a review wherever you choose to listen to us. It is very much appreciated. And if you'd like to follow along and tweet at us, either during the week or during the show, use the hashtag ABTVGrimm. Guys, I'm your host, Zach Wilson. I'm very excited to be talking to you about Grimm, episode 410, Tribunal. If you're not already, you can also join us on the YouTube live stream, where you can join us, or you can tweet at us during the show. You can tweet at me at @ZachWilson. That's Zach with a CH, spelled properly. Joining me on today's panel, my fantastic co-host, Yael Tygiel.
Hi, everybody.
Yael, where can the people follow you?
They can follow me at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL.
And Tauri Miller.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TAURIJAY.
Yes, Dylan Chance, unfortunately, cannot join us tonight.
Sure.
But we will discuss the Tribunal.
Yeah.
In detail by ourselves. Tonight's quote, you guys. May the God of vengeance now yield me his place to punish the wicked.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Okay.
It's a quote from The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, nice.
I love that they're like, let's take a quote from here and let's take a quote from there. Like, let's just mix it up. I love it.
It's just, I mean, really, since at the beginning, it was like they were trying to pull from Grimm stories more, and now they're just like, guys, just find a quote. I don't care where you find it. Last week we couldn't even, or 2 weeks ago we didn't even. It didn't even exist. Somebody made it up, which I guess is called TV writing. But
Is it?
but no, I mean it works. This is the God of Vesen Ry vengeance come to punish the wicked who marry Fuchsbaus.
Yeah.
Damn racists.
Seriously.
This episode was one of the most action-packed episodes we've had in a while, or at least the most intense action.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I have some notes about the action of this one. I love where we end up. I was shouting at my TV with excitement through the entire episode.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I said, yeah, at my television.
It was fun. You know, I was live tweeting it with Dylan,
Yeah.
like we back and forth, and he showed that this was a fun episode.
It was great.
All around. It was really solid. I will say that the half of our discussion from last week, moot point.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
We spent a lot of time discussing if and who would die.
Yeah.
Nobody died, except the bad guys.
Yeah, which
But
was
that
surprising to me.
Yeah?
Yeah, because the Grandmaster seemed like a formidable foe. And so I thought he'd, like, kind of hang out the rest of the season, but they're like, no.
Well, we've been dealing with him for 5-6 episodes at this point, like in the background.
Right. We didn't know we'd been dealing with it.
But we've been dealing with the Vesen Ry, and he is like the big bad behind the Vesen Ry. So I don't mind killing him at this point if that's all we're going to do. If the Vesen Ry is going to stick around, then I'd rather he would have like stayed as part of it.
Right.
But no, Bernard like pretty much ends it.
Yeah.
With his statement. Oh my God, I love what he calls it. He goes, it was a murder, suicide, death cult. And they were a cult of hatred. What a, like, a murder, suicide, death cult. Is that not redundancy? A little bit?
You're covering all your bases.
Yeah. It's murder,
sounds
it's
really
suicide, and it's natural death cult.
It covers all your bases.
Yeah.
When you're making up a cover story,
Yeah.
people aren't going to be like, what is that murder, suicide, death cult all about?
I'd like to think that they had just watched Demolition Man, where anything is called a murder, death, kill, and so they're like, yeah, no, we need that.
Yeah, I believe
It's a
it.
new category of murder. Like, you have, like,
Yes?
the M word.
Murder?
Murder, and then there's
Maiming, manslaughter.
manslaughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Like,
you.
where are we going with
Manslaughter, first-degree murder, second-degree
see.
murder, and then there's murder, death, kill.
Yeah.
It's a murder.
A murder, death, kill.
It's a murder, suicide, death cult.
Oh my god.
A cult of hatred.
But
Anyway.
no, I mean the whole plot line centering around the trial and the Vesen Ry.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we talk about how last week we discussed that it's not a trial and blah, 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 where's the trial? And I said the trial's going to be, did you marry a Fuchsmouth? Yes. Are you friends with the Grimm? Yes. Okay, that's the trial.
Those are not the crimes. The crimes are
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Agnes Fleischenblut
Yes. And my favorite,
and Grimm van
Grimmis Freundschafterwesen.
Grimmis van Schlachtenvoissen.
Grimmis Freundschafterwesen.
I think we're getting further away from it.
I disagree. I wrote it phonetically and then went back and did it again.
Grimmis van
Gosh, I
Schlachtenvoissen.
think it's called the Grimmais Flaschen Wiener.
It was the great. I'm sorry. That was my favorite. I was like, I want that. I don't know what it is, but I want it and I like it.
Guys, in the chat roll,
Yeah.
Dylan has joined us
Yay!
via chat roll.
Dylan!
Thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
Yeah,
Dylan.
Dylan.
No, he had to work.
Sure.
It's fine.
I'd rather do the
I
channels from
guess.
my
We're gonna
couch.
not pretend that he's at work. Right? 'Cause
Techno Griffin says this might be the best episode of Grimm ever.
You know, yeah.
A lot of sentiment that they're happy that nobody died, or like Monroe
yeah.
didn't
Right.
die,
Yeah.
and that we were wrong.
Well, you know what's really funny is we had talked about Bud dying, and we had said like, oh, you know, Bud might be the one because we're not super invested and whatever. And this episode, I was like, instead of killing him, they were like, guys, be invested in Bud.
Right.
That's what they did.
I mean, one of the things that I loved about this episode was the performances from Bud and Monroe.
Yeah.
Silas and I think his first name is Drew, but I don't
Bud.
know. Bud.
Bud.
Yeah.
We don't know your name, Bud.
I will look it up.
We're terrible people.
It's fine.
But no, it was both of them gave these impassioned speeches and gave performances like we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
seen Monroe angry, we've seen him upset, but we haven't, and we've seen him like in love.
Yeah, we've seen it
Yeah.
be romantic.
but we haven't seen him passionate
Right.
like this yet. And gotta say, he killed it.
He nailed
and
it.
that was the scariest moment for me when he started killing it as an actor. Because to me, no, because when an actor gets a really passionate speech,
Yeah.
it's often right before their death scene. Like they get that big speech where you're like, yes, yes, oh no. Is that not a pattern? That's definitely a pattern on
it
TV.
happens, and it's more prevalent. But I think that this show, I think that they are more just trying to get us really on board with everyone. Because, like, even this episode in and of itself was a showcase of each and every character doing great things. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't waste a single person. And I think that they were just kind of showcasing, like, how important these people are to this story.
Yeah. I think that just the end where they're having champagne and the whole team is together.
Yeah.
I was sitting at home cheering. I was like, yes, that's my team. That's my Scooby Gang.
Well, the Scooby Gang walk, the power walk.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
have that. I was like, I said, the team, where is it? The team assembles.
Grimsters assemble! No, although Hank was sort of relegated to the back in that scene, if you look.
Whatever. Well, because they had just fit Woo-Win.
Yeah, there's only
Right.
the hallway was only so wide.
Well, he is like one of the tallest.
I was
so they were.
excuse me, Captain Renard.
Well,
Is the tallest.
one of the tallest.
Please.
So like they would have either had like this weird reverse bell curve.
That would have been great.
So like, all right, we'll fix this.
Oh, man.
But so they storm out of there, and they're going like, and then they pull up the truck and they open up the back and it's like
guns!
shotguns. Woo's like, she's got his shotgun ready. Juliet and Rosalie take guns.
Oh my God, Juliet.
Nick
pulls the
throws
gun.
his badge into the truck.
That was my favorite part. Just like. Because the whole episode, they're like, this isn't a police matter.
This is getting in the way.
That moment, it was just, this is all of us doing our Grimm type thing.
I just want to point out that not having your badge on you does not remove the fact that you're a cop.
It's symbolic that they're not there as police, so that when they approach, it's so that when they approach, the people don't treat them as cops. They understand that
Woo
this
is still in full police uniform.
Yeah, I love that, and I've got to say, Juliet pulling her gun out of her purse and then throwing her purse in, and then just with that gun, I was like, yeah, Juliet. She's so good.
Bitsy Dog looks really hot with a gun.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, that was awesome.
It was great.
It was amazing.
I mean, you got really good ones from both Juliet and Rosalie. You got Juliet with the gun. You got Rosalie, like, where she vogas and then charges, like, Angry Face.
Yeah.
Angry Face Fuchsbow.
You liked that, didn't you?
Yeah. But then, of course, we got Juliet's big moment.
Yeah.
Where she's on the ground, and I mean, we kind of have a feeling what's coming in that moment where she's being choked to death. And as Lydia Sabreros puts it on here, Juliet went all Queen Sendel from Mortal Kombat. It's just finish him.
Nice.
Brain explodes.
You could say.
Blew his head out.
Yeah. Her powers are mind-blowing.
Nice.
Oh,
I like it.
Puns!
I like that one
I
a
feel
lot.
like we need to institute like
No,
a mute button
no.
on this show or something. Not a pun jar. This show can't handle a pun jar.
No.
No, but like a mute button as punishment for things like that.
But that was a great one.
Right?
Also, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, she's going to kill him. Okay, cool. And then his head exploded. And I was like, well, no, that's disgusting.
But it was badass. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it raises a whole other row of things that we're going to get into a little later in the after show.
Yeah.
Because, oof. Juliet Hexenbeast.
Yeah.
Oof, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit more about Bud's whole storyline and where he might be going. I want to talk about some Woo's clues.
Oh, we have a lot to talk about Woo. I want to, can we talk a little bit about the tribunal itself, like the trial?
Yes.
Okay, so the proof of the wedding were photos from the wedding. Not like a wedding certificate or a marriage license.
Right.
The proof were photos, right? Like, that's what they used as proof, which, I'm going to be honest, would never hold up in court. Like, wait, if you're going to do it and you're going to have this, thing about they got married, at least bring the legal documents of it.
Well, how would they get those, though?
You can go and get copies of that. They have a cop working for them. They can easily.
This is not the burden of proof type of trial.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. The discussion of the any doubt versus any reasonable doubt. It's like, actually, I think it's. Oh my gosh, so good. I'm the SVU fan here, and I was like, objection, guys. I have issues with this trial. No, it just really amused me that he was like, I have proof, and they're photos.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. Those could be photoshopped. Objection.
Right.
Circumstantial.
I feel like they're sort of in a state where it's like, well, if
Yes.
they're gonna have this trial, the guy's probably not photoshopping. Like, I don't think that there's any like he's like personal grudge against this.
No, I know. I'm just saying, if you're gonna have this trial, get something legal.
Well, it's a formality, though. It's like
the proof.
everything about it is like the purification ceremony where he's just splattering him with blood.
Yeah, that's
is-
gonna clean him.
Right. So, I mean, and it's like if anything, it's like how serial killers have different rituals when they murder, and they have to do the ritual in order for their murder to, like, ease their addiction.
I see.
And it's like that.
Okay.
So
Dylan wants to weigh in on this subject.
Yes,
Dylan
Dylan.
simply says, Vesen don't use Photoshop.
Touche, Dylan.
Which is racist, Dylan. God, you think that just because they're Vesen, they don't know how to use a computer?
No, I think he...
Offensive.
Oh, I thought he was texting me. Like, shut up, Yael.
But I mean, you never know. There could be Vesen computer programmers out there,
I don't
Vesen
think-
graphic
I'm sorry.
designers.
I don't think
Dylan.
he's saying that they can't. I think he's saying that for this they wouldn't. I got you, Dylan. I got you. Shut up, Zach.
Sorry, he's also saying hashtag creepy Tauri.
Oh, for my serial
killer.
killer stuff. I watch a lot of television and I read a lot of books. I know things, guys.
He knows things.
He knows things you don't want to know about.
Whose Twitter was that?
But another big plotline as we get into this trial was Detective Acker.
Yes.
Or Officer Acker. I guess he's not a detective.
Nope.
He's just a lowly dick detective.
Who gets blamed for the murder-suicide death cult.
Yeah.
In the end, Renard is like, and the leader of this cult was, I'm sad to say, Officer Acker.
That was a very interesting choice. Well, let's start from the beginning on Acker's thing here, because like they first woo. I call it the woo-terrogation.
Can we talk about the woo-terrogation?
Absolutely.
Okay, this was the greatest thing I've ever seen on this show. I don't know what about this interrogation I loved so much, but I wrote rocks. He goes. I don't know what you are, but you're no Aswang. Yeah! Because to him, that's the scariest thing out there.
Right.
Oh my god, that was amazing. Wu, like, shut him down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what? I fear nothing. Sit down, you know Aswang.
I need to call a fan thing on this, though. Mm-hmm. To Voga, to a point where a regular person can see you, as the currently established mythology says, it has to be intentionally that level of Voga.
Right.
That's pre-established. How did Wu see the Bauerschwein here?
Acker?
Yeah. He shouldn't have, because that was an emotional response.
I think that it was on purpose, wasn't it, to scare him? Because at that point, Wu had said stuff about
Your
the Vesen
Ry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it was on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we sort of moved. They try at the beginning. They sort of set that up as like that's never done.
Right.
So I think we've sort of evolved the show. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, if anything, your gripe should be with when Bud does it, because his is an emotional one. So Wu shouldn't have been able to see that one.
Yeah. That was one I also was like, Bud said that there's only two, like they said that there are two levels, there's two stages, and I feel like we've seen, like there's 3 stages.
with Bud, I think it was because he was trying to do that Voga, and he was like, come on, and then he like lost it, and he like did it by accident, because he was already in that mode of trying.
Okay. I'll accept that.
But I think that I feel like there's a third stage of Voga that we're missing, right? There's the one that only Nick sees, and they said that Nick only sees it when it's emotional.
Okay.
But we all have also seen it that Nick sees it when they're non-emotional, and they're like, "Wait a second, you're a Grimm." Right? Isn't there a third stage?
No, I think that every time it's been like either some form of emotion, or they're like voguing to use their vogue power.
Okay. All right.
Power.
Yeah. Although,
Yes.
Lydia said, our fan Lydia on YouTube just pointed out there seem to be a lot of pigs on this police force. Because this is not the first Bauerschwein we found working for the police.
I'm surprised that there aren't more. Like, if we have more Vesen on the police force, that we aren't, like, that Nick isn't aware of them yet.
Yeah, maybe it's really just a couple. It's just like there aren't very many. They sort of stay. He's Acker's lower down, so Nick may not have interacted with him very much.
Yeah.
And they do have to. He's aware of Nick.
Yeah.
it's interesting that they haven't sort of come after him in any way yet.
Right.
But I think it's just that they're really, it's not a lot. There's like that one, there's these two guys.
Yeah.
And I also
Maybe we'll find like one more. But, and the captain, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And I'd argue that police are used to controlling their emotions. So, I mean, they would be less apt to reveal themselves in front of Nick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I also want to point out that when Captain Renard threw Acker across the table and across the room after what is it called? The
interrogation.
After that, that throw, because Acker's so small and Renard is just so tall.
Yeah.
And it was just such a beautiful, like, let me throw you, puppet, across the room. Oh, that was so badass and very, very hot. I want that noted. I want that incredibly. All the ladies and anyone who likes men in the YouTube comments to agree with me, because that was, I liked it. I did.
Yael's just reliving it right now.
I am. It was beautiful.
You had
Yes.
Renard throwing Acker across the room. I had Rosalie charging in full Fuchsbau.
Yeah. Tari?
Do I need a thing?
Yes.
You'll find it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll
I don't want to
there.
force it right
You
now.
don't have to. Look, there's plenty of new Vesen to discover if
That's
you haven't
true.
found the one for you. There's plenty of life left to live.
I just want to clarify that doesn't mean I'm abandoning Meisner. I just want that noted. Okay.
Oh, did he show up this episode?
No.
Nobody said you have to choose one.
Good. Because I can't.
But yeah, but what did you guys think of the threatening the sister storyline? Because like we know that Nick's not going to hurt her because she's an innocent.
Right.
But in terms of how it wound up with like Acker being blamed as like the head of this thing when he was clearly a lower down.
Right.
Yeah.
Effectively, the captain is banking on him not coming forward and sort of accepting like a plea bargain of sorts, like pleading guilty and going to jail in exchange for like not hurting his sister.
I like it. I like that they're doing something. They're like working their Grimm stuff in a legal way, whereas usually they like play the cop and then go do Grimm stuff. I like that this time we're doing it backwards and that it's working in the real world. Because, there was this massacre that occurred and like people aren't, that's not going to go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Whereas every other serial killer in Portland has. So I like that they are kind of, justifying, especially with Wu as part of the team now, we can justify the inexplicable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to say something?
Words. And I felt like the having him be labeled as the leader was kind of also a punishment for him because he was essentially the thing that helped Monroe get
Free.
captured.
Oh.
And so I felt like making him the leader kind of makes him a target in jail once he's there. So that was how I felt. I mean, in regards to the sister, it was like a classic Grimm play where they're using what Vesen know about Grimm against them. So making it seem like the sister was going to be harmed when, we as an audience don't know, but he was definitely more likely to give up the information because he already knows all of the cop plays.
Yeah.
Shrug.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. My big question is, since Acker is our sort of, there's like that little, 8 foot soldiers that stayed alive from the Vesen Ry. Acker is being pinned as their leader. Does that prime him for a comeback later?
I was thinking that, like, especially with that shot of him in the jail cell.
Super ominous shot.
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, we think the Vesen Ry is going away because Riker's dead.
Right.
Did we see the Jonah Riken die? The
brother?
little kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw him die. Okay.
Yeah.
He was the one who killed by Juliet.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember,
I was like, he attacked Juliet, and I totally thought when he vogued, and he pinned her down before she you know, went all hex and beast on him, I totally thought she was gonna be like, you're just like a kid. Because he like voted and he's like a puppy.
A puppy blue bot?
Yeah. Like, oh, who's a little blue bot? Is that not what everyone else thought?
Who's a little racist blue bot?
Racist blue bot. Time out. That's what I went
No,
with.
dead.
Yeah.
That's your timeout forever.
Yeah, I would have
Go sit on the
not
steps
left
forever.
No, you're right. No, he does. She doesn't know that though. But
Right.
like he deserved his head blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a jerk.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah.
And you know what we deserve, you guys?
What do we
Just a
deserve?
moment of your time.
Yay!
Just for a moment of your time, I want to talk to you guys about iTunes and SoundCloud and YouTube and all the different ways that AfterBuzz TV is available for you.
Yeah.
Not just this show, not just Grimm, because I know you guys love Grimm. 97 shows just running concurrently on AfterBuzz TV. There's 97 different shows that you can tune in to watch an after show for just right now. 400 different programs over time.
98.
98!
Remember? 98.
98, you
Starts
guys.
tomorrow.
That's right. 98 shows concurrently that you can watch on AfterBuzz TV, all for free. And the only thing that we ask, the way that you guys can best help us out, go on to iTunes, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe on YouTube, and leave us a review. On iTunes, just leave us a comment, a rating. It really does mean the world to us. It lights up our faces when we see those reviews. But it also helps other people find this podcast. It helps the network get better sponsors and more guests. And I've said before, we are working on some more guests, but we need your help to get them in the room. Yael is working on Meisner. Hopefully, as soon as he comes back on the show, we can also get him in the studio.
Yeah.
So help us out, guys. And you get a little shout out on the show as well. I want to give a shout out to Michael B85, who's written a review before, but he says, welcome back, guys. Welcome, TJ, to the panel. I have to agree with Dylan. I think that Nick will turn into zombie Nick and start killing. This might be the cause to bring back trouble.
Yeah.
And I also have to agree with Zach. Killing Monroe would take the show to the next level. Except that it didn't.
Yeah.
Normally, Nick tries not to kill, but I think Monroe's death would cause Nick to become the scary Grimm that everyone believes him to be, or this could unite the Vesen community to handle the, I forget the name, Nazi Vesen, the Vesen Ry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Themselves just to keep Nick from going off. What do you guys think?
Ooh.
See, that's a storyline that I could get behind, Michael B85, because I love the idea of Nick going off the rails and Vesen having to come in to control him, or maybe his mom having to come in to control him, or Trouble, or all of them. We have like two Grimms and like a bunch of Vesen trying to stop and control Nick. Mm-hmm. That'd be fun.
I just want to say, Michael B., I was right about something at some point. I just want that noted. Everybody else was right. Everyone else got green.
Yours weren't as controversial, though. Yeah,
That's true.
But also, I'm pretty much never right.
Get off that fence.
Yeah.
Last thought on the whole action rescue sequence.
So good.
There's just a couple lines and moments that we didn't hit on, and I want to before we move forward.
I don't know what you are, but you're no Aswa.
We did talk about that one.
Good.
Great moment.
Good.
I've never been so happy to see anybody, at least since the last time you saved me.
Yeah.
From Bud. And Bud also just when he unmasked. And I was waiting for somebody to recognize one of the Vesen Ry, and Bud unmasked one. Oh my God, it's my chiropractor.
I really like Bud.
Yeah.
I've always loved Bud. And I feel like this episode, because it's so funny that we talked about how they'd kill him off because it wouldn't matter.
Right.
But now he matters. Like if I want him to be another Wu and another, I want him to be really part of the team. I would like him to learn to stop talking.
I think I even when I was doing the live tweet, I think I was like, Bud, stop talking now.
Yeah.
You can only make things worse.
But I love that he was trying not to. Do I know him? Do I talk to him all the time? Was I at his wedding? No. Blah blah. And Monroe was like, just say it. It's okay. And I was like, no, this is the greatest thing ever. I love you, Bud. I love Bud. He's great.
Yeah. But they started giving all the different characters these awesome moments in that scene.
Yeah.
Like Monroe got to share some fun Monroe bonding time as they murdered Riken to death.
I have a theory, not a predictions maybe.
Okay.
But I think that because we saw Monroe like tear someone's throat out essentially.
Twice.
Yeah, but the first time, which was added to his charges.
Yeah. Phil.
Yeah.
Screw you, Phil.
Yeah, jerk.
Don't rest in peace. Rest in misery.
Yeah, Phil.
You Nazi.
I feel like we're gonna deal with the repercussions of that because he's been vegetarian for so long.
Yeah.
And now he has tasted blood.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they lingered on him for a little bit too.
Right.
Just having that realization.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was thinking, like, when he's biting into it, like, just bite and run. Just, like, get it, he's down. Keep going,
Right.
Monroe.
Yeah.
Don't stop to savor.
Well, I mean, he's been vegetarian for so long.
Yeah.
He's tasted blood.
Yeah, and you get that first bite of steak, and you're like, oh, my God.
Man,
what have I been doing all these years?
Steak sounds great.
But I would love that storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into that more in predictions later.
Boom. Finally.
But Nick got you're not gonna be able to arrest us all. You're right. Shh. Some of you will be stupid.
That was such a good line.
And then Wu killed a shackle.
Yeah.
Wu I mean, you knew that guy was gonna attack.
Yeah.
The moment Wu bent down to get that gun. But Wu has a shotgun, you
Right.
idiot. No, he took him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Wu in this episode, lots of Wu's clues. It's Wu's clues.
Okay,
Wu's clues.
we need a theme song.
We
all
need a
agree on,
jingle.
that we
I
all
feel like
agree
that
on.
was close to. We were
No.
all on the same page.
I
You know, you got
disagree.
the high notes.
No, we need like
low
a
notes.
button, like a true
We
jingle
need a
button.
sound drop. Okay.
But anyway, so
Yes.
Wu finally is fully in on this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
He sees the ice beaver.
Is this the Blues Clues song?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. See, Wu's clues.
All right.
But yeah, so Wu in this episode, he gets full in, and he is he's a little bit more prepared than Hank was, and Juliet was I think we had a good easily transition
Right.
with Rosalie because she was already a friend and all that. But it's I've met this guy. What is this?
Yeah.
Oh no, I prematured again.
That was
Yeah.
so
Can you
good.
imagine hearing that right after you find out of a Vesen and a Voga are?
Well,
Oh, Bud. Poor old Bud.
I think it just surprised me. I mean, I get why they didn't go to Rosalie because she's kind of busy because her husband's been stolen. But I feel like they could have found, because that's what they did with Juliet was they started with Rosalie so that we saw something cute and endearing.
Yeah.
And then we saw, the other side of it, which is Monroe, which is terrifying. And I think that what we needed for Wu was to go with something cuddly, sure, Bud is cuddly, and then show him something scary so that he gets that there's a range.
Right. Well, he's already seen the definition of his greatest fear.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess having this other side shows him that, not all Vesen are terrible.
Right.
Because he's also seen, the, I forget the name of it, the bleeding-eyed chupacabra-y thing.
The chupacabra?
Yes, the chupacabra.
It was a chupacabra.
Yes. So he knows that scary exists. Juliet has had isolated moments, like the troll breaking into her house and
Oh,
all that
yeah.
stuff. But I think it was easier for her. For me, I think is an interesting aspect of Wu's character is that he's only seen the worst portions of Vesen culture.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen the Aswang, and he's seen this cult.
Yeah.
And I think it would be really interesting if he ended up really hating Vesen, because everyone has been really on board, but I think that as he gets deeper into this world, I want his character to kind of develop a real resentment for it, because they did put him into a psych ward, and like they have been tormenting him for this long.
Right.
There's a moment where he's like, "You're disgusting. I hate everything that you are." When he was doing his interrogation.
Yeah.
And I just
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think we're gonna go that route, especially with how the episode ends with him in the trailer, just like munching on his fries and eating his burger,
Right.
and like flipping through, like, oh, look at that, like fancy.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that scene while I just check to see who's tweeting it.
Yeah, okay. While you go play on your phone.
All right. Let's talk about that moment with Wu in the trailer, because that is not, they threw it in at the end, but I think that is a super important moment of like how Wu is going to go from here, because he's got every book open, he's like studying, he clearly is like, if he's bringing food in, he's like there for like
a while,
long time.
Yeah.
I think like by our next adventure, Wu is like gonna know everything. Like he is gonna be the Vesen expert. Like rather than being afraid of them, he is diving headfirst into this world, and he's gonna be like an encyclopedia. Oh, it's doing this. Okay, well that is a Russian Flackentution. I don't know what I'm just making up sounds now. But I really do think like that could be where Wu goes from here.
Yeah.
But the question is, what places does that take him?
So I agree with you. I think that that's where it's going to go, especially because the episode ends with Monroe going on their honeymoon. So I think that the idea is that now, because up until now we've had Monroe there, so like, oh, what's this? And he's like, well, I heard stories about this in my childhood.
Yeah.
So now we have Wu, who's really buckling down and studying it, and if we're lucky, he's going to digitize it. Please, somebody open a gosh darn computer. And I think that Wu is going to be their new go-to on the case, so that Monroe doesn't have to necessarily, do policey things because they have Wu. That said, I'm not saying that Monroe's going to be completely out, but not to get into predictions, but if we go down the path of the now he's tasted blood and he might go this other way, to have Wu on the force with the info might make it a very interesting
dynamic.
Yeah, that's it.
The only concern I have for the show, and I think that they'll find a way to get around this, and sort of why I was like looking at who's gonna die last week, is that with Wu in on the action here, we sort of have a big team with a lot of overlap between characters, and that's not what you want on a TV show. You want very clear cut, this character is thinking this character would think this, like where the characters all come from a very different perspective to the same issue. And so Wu now and Hank sort of have similar ground.
Right.
If Wu becomes an expert, he sort of steps on Monroe's ground. So the question is, who evolves? Who takes a big step in a different direction?
I think that is opening us up to a nice, dramatic, situation. I think the idea is that, someone's going to end up feeling left out, or like, I used to play this part and now you no longer need me. So that might be an interesting way to go, so that now Wu is stepping on all these toes, and it's like, well, we shouldn't have told him to begin with. And, that's an interesting narrative story to go down.
Yeah. But obviously, sorry, Terry, did you have a thought?
I have a thought, but you can go ahead.
Okay, well, the obvious character that is having a big step forward and change in what she does, of course, is Juliet.
Yes.
Juliet the Hexen Beast.
Yeah.
And she tries to, like, drop it with Rosalie.
That was so funny.
Where it's like, I feel like you could, like, disguise it. Just be Juliet, like, I figured talk about some other stuff and see.
Yeah, that was not the time.
Get to well, to be fair, Juliet's dealing with some major stuff right now.
Yeah, but at the exact moment that they're trying to compare these names.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah.
But they're at a stuck point, at least the way I work, is like, talk about something else for 5 minutes and come back to it, see new stuff.
Yeah.
That was not a 5-minute conversation.
Anyway, but the end here, like, let's just start there. or rather, not the end here. We almost skipped over the big part of that scene where Rosalie drops the little knowledge bomb that Hexen beasts can be made,
right?
But those ones are even more dangerous.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is such an opposite of what you expect. You know, like, you're made, so you're not real, but, like, this has been in my family forever, therefore I'm powerful. So I was so surprised to hear that, but also so excited.
Well, I guess because it's manufactured, like, something about the process brings in, like, even more power.
Right.
Maybe it's sort of like how if two Vesen combine, it can be explosive.
Right.
If human and Vesen are combined, like human and Hexen beasts are combined, it can be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. As Dylan would probably say at this moment, it's like how when a human and a Saiyan get together, their child can make a Super Saiyan, or like their child can become Super Saiyan at an earlier age. It's like that, as Dylan would say, because he's also an anime fan.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You lost us.
But here's the question.
Come back, Dylan.
But here's an interesting question that raises.
Yeah.
If a Hexen beast can be created, can any Vesen be created?
Oh.
It sort of raises an interesting. This is like massive mythology, just brain thinking.
Yeah.
But it could lead us into an exploration of how Vesen come about. Because if all this is, here's my crazy thoughts.
How are Vesen made?
Well, a mama Vesen.
Yeah, okay.
But actually, that's not my thought. But what if Vesen, like, it all goes back to like when humans were just humans. Some sort of magic makes certain people into these, like this Vesen, this Vesen, this Vesen, which explains why Vesen aligns so much with specific animals often. And then certain ones evolve differently with like Hexen beasts and Oswangs and whatever that doesn't fit necessarily with an animal.
Right.
But it's something that could evolve into who knows? Like if Bud's ancestors were normal humans who hit some kind of magic like pocket in the world, and were next to an ice beaver at the time, then suddenly they become an ice beaver when they're emotional. It's like a curse. That is like put on their family for all future generations. Now it's been with them for so long that it's no longer a curse anymore, or they don't see it that way. But that's the life that they live.
What? That was crazy.
Sorry, I had to get that out because I had the thought earlier today.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, because the storylines that opens for us is like, could Monroe lose his blue, just like Nick lost his Grimm? Because Nick lost his Grimm.
Yeah.
So could Monroe lose his blue bot? Could Rosalie lose her Fuchsbow? Please no. But all of the implications around that, like it could not just apply to Hexen Beasts and Grimm. It shouldn't. Those are just two random functions of this world. It should be able to apply to any Vesen.
I feel like what that also opens up, and I'm gonna say it, is that you could make a Grimm. Josh, for example, whose father was a Grimm, is predispositioned, and they can do whatever Hexen Beastie and make him a Grimm. Maybe that, like, that if all of these things can be made, then if somebody carries the specific gene, let's say, the extra cones in their eye, Josh could be totally made a Grimm, and then Trouble in Paradise. Yeah.
Two Grimms and their adventures in Hawaii.
Well, I was thinking even that they fall in love, Trouble in Paradise. See, different type of paradise. I took that from Dylan.
Dylan says hashtag Grim eye surgery. It's like a new version of LASIK.
Yeah. Great.
Obviously the counterpoint to all of what I just said is that Hexen beasts do control magic, and Grimm have like somewhat more involvement with magic, and like ice beavers don't. So
you don't know that.
But no, they don't.
How dare you say that about them? They are proud people. They will fix your refrigerator. Yeah.
The point is that,
Right.
like, maybe it is more unique to those subsections, and all of what I just said is, like, nothing. But it's an interesting thought process.
To support you, I mean, that could be why we've gotten so much emphasis on the purity of species, and that once you start mixing, it creates something else.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Huh. Yes.
But somebody did point out, and I apologize, I lost it in the little thing here, right before we move into predictions, so we can wrap up. Could you? Well, actually, let's move this into predictions, because this is sort of prediction-y.
Okay.
All right.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
Mr. Goku Jr. 2012 says Zach likes a girl with a little fuzz on her face. To which I say, generally no. But have you seen Rosalie?
Oh man, that's so funny.
I bet he got my saying joke.
Shut up.
Anyway, but somebody pointed out, and I apologize to whoever it was because I lost it. Could Juliet get her Hexenbeast taken away with Grimblood, just like Adeline did? I would think that it's an easy one-line, like, no, it doesn't work for Hexenbeasts that are made only for the natural, and then that thought process is done. But I feel like it's something that will have to be addressed.
Right.
I mean, was it just the fact that he bled, or was there some more to it?
There was more to it, but the same spell process.
Right. Okay.
And she doesn't have to, like, pretend to be anybody else to hook up with Nick.
Oh. Okay.
But let's talk about, like, the next on that we saw was like Juliet is like hiding it. Obviously, she tells Renard. By the way, I'm just in Renard's head. All I'm thinking is Renard's like, "Girl, you never look so sexy."
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But after she's told Renard, then she's hiding it from Nick. What do you guys think is going to happen next week?
I think, okay, so the promo is all about how, like, she's freaking out that he's gonna, like, behead her because of her status. And I'm gonna say this. I think that all of that is a subconscious, like, Hexenbeast thing, that it's, like, instinctual to think that he's gonna kill her. Because even if she, like, tells him, hey, turns out I'm a Hexenbeast, whatever, there's no way that Nick would ever hurt her.
Right.
Right? Like, also, Nick as a Grimm never beheads anyone, unless he kind of has to. And he would never hurt her. And I think that it's a, like, instinctual thing that maybe we'll discover that all Vesen feel this, like, little tension always, because they can see the darkest part of them and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like how animals know who their predators are.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be super dark when Juliet Voga's in front of Nick, looks into his eyes and sees nothing but pools of darkness, blacker than anything that you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the chat roll thought that is most likely him walking towards the bed with the axe is most likely a dream sequence.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it is. I think maybe she Voga's in her sleep, and Nick thinks it's Adeline, like playing or other Hexenbeast, like playing a trick on him again, because he just dealt with that, like somebody pretending to be Juliet, Trojan horsing it into his bed.
Nice use of that.
But I think he like is there like ready to attack if he needs to
with a giant axe. Go get the machete. Like, the axe is a little much.
Trouble uses the machete. Nick uses an axe.
Yeah.
I still have the season 2 poster in my apartment.
Get a crossbow. Like, that axe is huge to be. Like, let me go get this from the broom closet.
If you're gonna behead someone, you're not gonna use like a kitchen knife. It takes forever.
It's minimum a butcher knife. Yeah, hashtag creepy Tauri. Minimum a butcher knife, but the axe is just so much quicker.
Yeah.
So much more effective, you guys. Any final thoughts as we head out, guys?
I hope that this creates, with Juliet sneaking around, I hope it brings Nick to a point of jealousy because they once had a thing. Her and Renard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. Also, where's Meisner? That's all.
I mean, he's somewhere. Maybe now that, maybe he's like stowing aboard the plane coming with Adeline and Victor.
He's gonna save her from Victor.
That'll be our next Woo Clue adventure.
All right. Well, guys, Thank you so much for joining us. To every Grimster and Gremlin out there, especially those of you that joined us in the chat roll, thank you so much for joining us. Tauri Miller, where can the people follow you during the week?
You can follow me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TauriJay.
Yay! You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at Yael Tygiel. That's YaelTygiel. Also on Yael.tv, Yael.tv, and here at AfterBuzz on King of the Nerds, SVU, Switched at Birth, Constantine, a whole bunch of others. Take it away.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at ThatZachWilson, ThatzachWilson. A bunch of laundry list of shows here at AfterBuzz, but some of the ones that I'm really enjoying right now: Helix, Agent Carter coming up later this week. Better Call Saul coming up in February. Guys, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.